Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Scharf Show here on 99.1 FM WIUX. We had kind of a weird sports week. We had NBA. We no MLB anymore. We had the Pro Bowl, which I can get into in a bit. And then we had the NHL All-Star Game. I think the biggest thing, maybe besides some NBA news, but the biggest games were in college. That was college basketball. We had a huge college basketball week. Big day on Saturday, which a bunch of games going on. You had Indiana-Purdue, which we will get into here. You had Duke take down North Carolina in a key win to really keep them in the hunt to be ranked, even though they're not healthy. You had Miami take down Clemson. You had a couple big games in college basketball. It was a great day for college basketball on Saturday and throughout the week. But we're going to start in the NFL as we always do. And I believe there's a game coming up this week, this Sunday. It's known as the Super Bowl. Yeah, this Super Bowl Sunday is coming up this week. But before we had Super Bowl, we had the Pro Bowl, as I said. And the Pro Bowl, I'm going to be honest, didn't watch a minute of it. Did not watch a second of it. And I am not missing a minute of sleep for not watching that. A snooze fest. Whether it be the games beforehand, like dodgeball, or the actual flag football game, I'm going to be honest, I don't care. I don't care. It's not football. It's tough for them to do a true football game, I get that, but I just don't care. And I understand why people are calling it canceled. I understand why people are not, because it's an achievement as well. When you look at somebody's career, they've been voted to this many Pro Bowls. So, I mean, maybe you could do, like, the voting and no actual Pro Bowl, but that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of weird. But overall, just a wash of a weekend for the NFL. But as we move on, we have the Super Bowl this week. The Philadelphia Eagles, they're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Arizona. It'll be on Fox at 6:30, February 12th. I don't think I know a soul who's not going to be turned into this awesome of a game. The line right now is Philly minus 1.5. The over-under is 50.5. And there are a couple keys to this game that I'm looking at. A couple big keys to this game. First off, is just Kansas City stopping the rushing attack of this Philadelphia offense. Now, I know Philadelphia can throw. You saw that. You've seen Jalen Hurts. He's had an MVP caliber season. He's got great receivers to find in in A.J. Brown, in Devontae Smith, that's in the tight end in Dallas Goedert. He's got weapons. But they run their offense through the run game, through running it with Hurts, running it with Sanders, running it with Gainwell or Scott. The run game is what drives this offense. And they did a fantastic job, the Chiefs, against the Bengals' throwing attack 2 weeks ago, I guess. But in the conference championship, they did a fantastic job in the air against Joe Burrow and that Bengals team. They let up a couple big plays, the T. Higgins touchdown, but overall, they did a very good job. I'm curious how now it's a different style of offense. Instead of pass first, it's run first. I'm curious on how they do. And this is an underrated Chiefs defense. They've played well this year. They've played pretty well this year. And this is not one I don't think you can take lightly. So, do I think they're going to hold them to under 17 points this game? Absolutely not. But I don't think you're going to need that when you got Mr. Mahomes on the other side. And now my question on the offensive side, both my questions, because I know what I'm going to probably get from the Eagles' perspective. I know what I'm going to get from their defense. It's going to be relentless pressure with great coverage. It's one of the best units in football. And the offensive side, they're going to be a ground and pound and then try to take some deep shots with Smith or Brown and do some play-action crossing routes like they do. And it's going to work very well, probably. But I'm curious to see how Kansas City's defense adjusts. I am curious, though. The only question I have for Philadelphia is how does Hurts play in the big lights? I mean, you've seen him play in big games before, but there is no game like the Super Bowl, so I'm curious to see how Hurts plays in the brightest lights, under the biggest stage, with the entire country watching him. But most of my questions are on Kansas City. Again, how does this defense react after doing such a good job in the conference championship in a pass-first offense, now run-first offense, and now on the offensive side, who's going to be the guy to get open for Patrick Mahomes? Because if you've noticed, it's been Kelsey and somebody else every time. In the conference championship, it was Kelsey and it was MVS who had himself a day. Because Kelsey's going to get doubled. He's going to even get triple teamed at parts of this game. Where is Patrick going to go with the ball when Kelsey's triple teamed? He needs a target. He needs somebody. Is it going to be Pacheco in the run game? Maybe. Could it be McKinnon? McKinnon could have a big day. You know, they kind of flip-flop Pacheco run game, McKinnon screen and pass game. He could have a big day. He had a big stretch down the season for the Chiefs and my fantasy team, not to mention it. But could it be somebody like Kadarius Toney if he plays? It looks like McCole Hardman's going to be out, but could it be Juju Smith-Schuster, who was kind of quiet last game in the conference championship? You're looking for another guy to step up with Travis Kelce, because you know Kelce's going to get his targets, he's going to do his damage. It's like playing a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Cooper Kupp, a Devontae Adams. They're going to do their damage, just limiting the big plays. That's what their goal is going to be. Who else is going to step up for them to have to win this game? Because Kelce is not going to win you this game. He's going to keep you in this game. He's going to make big plays, but he's not going to win you this game. If somebody else is going to have to step up and make a play in this Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs to win. I think it's probably going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. He was kind of quiet last game. I think he has a big game this game, and I think that's going to be the guy. I mean, he's the most talented one, so I think it will be him. But somebody has to step up. And another thing is it's usually not the same guy 2 games in a row, so I don't think it's going to be MVS. It could be, but I just wouldn't count on it. Where this game is, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's probably going to be a one-score game, the final score. But ultimately, I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Maybe it's my bias showing how much I hate the Eagles, but he's the best player on the planet. We talked about it last show on how I think if he wins this one, he's setting his path to start his legacy and start kind of his narrative to have a chance of becoming the greatest football player of all time. This is where it starts for him, and I want to see that. I think it's going to happen. I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I never bet against Patrick Mahomes. So with the 1.5, give me the money line at plus 105 here, just to pick him up outright. And I do like the over as well, probably a 50.5 in this game. Ultimately, I have the Chiefs lifting that Lombardi trophy and Patrick Mahomes getting his second Super Bowl and second Super Bowl MVP in what is known as the Kelce Bowl, I guess, now, because, you know, you have Jason and Travis Kelce, which is absolutely crazy. Like, both, first time a pair of brothers are going head-to-head in the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's the first time also, but it's one of the few, if it's not, it's one of the few times that 2 African-American quarterbacks are facing each other in the Super Bowl, which is a huge revelation. Getting more black quarterbacks, just being able to put in that position, put as quarterbacks as they can play the position is great to see, because it should be fair shot for everybody, and you know these are two of the best. Unfortunately, with Jalen Hurts as he plays for the Eagles, but Patrick Mahomes being mountains above everybody else. All right, when we come back, down goes number 1 in Bloomington, Indiana. And Trace Jackson-Davis, they take care of business at home and they beat their rival Purdue. We'll talk about it here on the Scharf Show when we come back. 99.1 FM, WIUX. All right, welcome back to the Scharf Show on 99.1 FM, WIUX. As we teased before the break, the Indiana Hoosiers, they take down their in-state rival, the number 1 team in the country. Still, after after the new rankings came out today, they are still number 1 in the country. The Purdue Boilermakers by a score of 79-74. And I know I haven't talked too much IU basketball here this really this semester, or like this show in the first semester, we didn't really we had a lot going on, and I tried to fit it in when I could. But now with baseball officially kind of past, I think you're going to hear a lot more, especially as we come down the stretch. College basketball, especially IU basketball. I mean, IU had a fantastic weekend against Purdue. The men's team beats like we just said, beats the Purdue men's team 79-74. And then the women's team goes out and dominates the Purdue women's team to give them, to continue their streak. They only have one loss on the season. They're now ranked the second best team in women's college basketball, the highest the program's ever been. And they have a huge matchup on Thursday against a top 6 seed. I think they're a 4 seed in Iowa. 4 or 5? 5. The 5 seed, Iowa. So that's a huge matchup. And then, obviously, though, the big story, the men's, Trace Jackson Davis, they had Assembly Hall going absolutely bananas. Loudest environment I've ever been a part of by far. My ears were ringing. I'm surprised I'm not deaf because that's how loud it was. And it was awesome to storm the court a second year in a row against Purdue. It just, dream come true. Dream come true. Now let's get into this game because the biggest reason they won because it was their first half. They scored 50 points in the first half, which allowed them to kind of sustain the run that was going to come by Purdue. This is an awesome Purdue team. Zach Edey's going to win Player of the Year. It's not going to be Trace, as much as I would love it to be. I think Trace will finish top 5 in voting, maybe even top 3. But Edey's going to win this thing. There's just nobody in college basketball who can guard him because nobody's that tall in college basketball. When he gets to the NBA, he could have some problems because he's going to have people who will be able to block his shots and guard him, and he won't be able to be as physical and just be able to go over the top of everybody. But in college basketball, why not? Yeah, so you knew you were going to have to sustain a run from them. They did that, and they end up on top. Trace Jackson Davis was awesome on Saturday. Was awesome. 9 of 19, 7 of 9 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 5 blocks for 25 points. That's what you want from your best player. That's what you want from a National Player of the Year candidate. He's been on fire the past month, and he continues to dominate. The other big day from Jalen Hood-Schifino. Now, first half, I thought he was hitting some of the shots he was supposed to, but he just didn't look like he was having as much as an impact as you wanted him to have on the offensive side. Defensively, he was playing great. Offensively, you wanted to see a bit more, and that showed in the second half, and he ended up with a great day. 16 points, went 8 of 15 from the field, 4 assists, 2 steals, and when you needed him to hit the big shots down the stretch, that's exactly what he did. On the inbound to ice the game, and then before that, you need a bucket. He goes up and under Zach Edey to put the deuce layup in, and with acrobatics and a half. Awesome game from Jalen Hood-Schifino. And this is what you're going to need from him. You need him to be able to take charge. You need somebody who can get their own shot, a guard who can create for himself to be able to have the ball in the final 2 minutes, in crunch time. Because when Trace has the ball the past couple years, in the past final minutes, they would double, triple team, and nobody could hit a clutch shot in the endings of games. We didn't know how to ice games. We didn't know how to put away teams. And with Jalen Hood-Schifino now, we are being able to put away teams. Because if Hood-Schifino can do it, or they're not doubling as much Trace, because you got to worry about a guy like Jalen Hood-Schifino. You got to worry about a guy like Trey Galloway and Tamar Bates. Now they're fire from 3 this year. They are lights out from 3 this year, shooting around 40%. So it's not just Trace you got to worry about anymore in the last minute or 2 of the game. And you're just seeing it. We're starting to close. This team is starting to be able to close out games, finish the job when they need to finish the job, put the knife as the dagger, and just put a team to bed. Just put a team to bed, man. It's that simple. They were that good. Another thing was the defense play against their guards. Our guards outplayed their guards. I mean, you had Edie and Trace was the matchup that everybody was looking forward to, and that was as advertised. But what was a big separator was, like I said, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then Trey Galloway, who had a great day. He went 1 from 3, 11 points, 4 of 8 from the field, 3 steals. They completely outplayed their guards in Lawyer and Morton. Both of their guards, or Lawyer and Smith, Braden Smith and Lawyer, their guards are all both freshmen, and they have been playing extremely well for Purdue. That was the scouting report. But they came in today into a hostile environment, one of the most hostile environments in Assembly Hall. We put defensive pressure on them from Galloway and Hood-Schifino, forcing turnovers, forcing mistakes, not making shots. Morton was 1 of 2 from the field for 2 points. And Smith was 1 of 8 from the field with 4 points. Lawyer was 4 of 12 from the field with 12 points. And 4 of those points of the 12 were from free throws. Which is huge. You needed to, if you want to beat Purdue, you have to be, the guards have to outplay their guards. Indiana's guards have to be the better guards. Because while Edie did score 8 more points than Trace Jackson Davis, I kind of use that as a wash a bit. Edie had the better game, but you're having 2 stars go at it. You need something else to put you over the edge, and that's the guards for Indiana. Another thing that's going to go overlooked this game, last point, it's going to go overlooked. How about the free throw percentage from Indiana? 15 of 18 from the line on Saturday for an 83.3%. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's exactly what I want to see from this team. You know, Purdue goes 10 of 17, 58% from the from the free throw line. Got to be able to hit your charity stripes shots. You got to. And that's been a struggle for us for this team for years. And Trace goes 7 of 9 from the line. Race goes 4 of 4. Galloway hits them both. Malik Renew goes 2 of 2. It was perfect. Absolutely a perfect. That is what you want to see from the line. Take advantage of when you get fouled. Make them pay. It's not a. They shouldn't want to foul you. They should be thinking, oh, this is 2 easy ones for them. It's not, oh, we might have gotten away with something here. No. You got to be able to hit. This is a huge part of making a run down the stretch, making a run at the Big Ten tournament, making a run for the deep in March Madness. That's one of the keys. You got to be able to hit your free throws. And to know in the biggest game of the year so far, this team was able to do that and do that very effectively is very huge, very huge. So, the big game coming up tomorrow for the Hoosiers. Home versus Rutgers. Rutgers right now second in the Big Ten. The Hoosiers lost to them at the rack earlier this year, so this is a must-win game as well. Can't have what you had last year, which is coming off such a high against the Purdue game to go to such a low on the loss versus Michigan. Just did not come out for that game as it just wasn't the same intensity as you were playing Purdue. It got to be that same intensity. You got to take Rutgers to church. This game has to be won by the Hoosiers. You want to be one of those top 2 teams in the Big Ten. You want to get a top 4 seed for March Madness. This is a game that you have to have. You have to have. And being at home, you know, they have only lost 1 game at home, the Hoosiers, and that 1 game was when over the winter break. So the student section wasn't what it usually is. So I am confident we'll be able to come out for that game and really take it to Rutgers. You know, Trace has been on another level since that time. Hood-Schifino, and you're gonna have Xavier Johnson coming back soon. Probably not for Rutgers. Jordan Geronimo was probably available for Purdue, but I don't know if they didn't. Maybe they just don't want to rush him back. There's a lot to look forward to for this team. If they can get X-Man and keep the chemistry, keep everybody playing the way they are, and just incorporate Xavier Johnson the way he was playing towards the end of last year, this is a team that can make a deep run in March Madness. This is a team that can do some damage in March, whether that be the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament. All right, when we come back, we're moving from college to the NBA. Big trade from my Brooklyn Nets. We'll get to that and more on the other side of the break on 99.1 FM WIUX. All right, welcome back to the Scharf Show here on 99.1 FM WIUX. We had a major trade to shake up the NBA on Sunday. And that was that Kyrie Irving is now a Los Angeles Laker? No! He's a Dallas Maverick. He's going to the Mavericks for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, an unprotected 2029 first, and 2027 and 2029 second round picks in exchange for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. Now, according to reports that just came out from Woj, this trade is not technically official yet, as they are looking maybe to get a third team involved, but if they cannot get a third team involved, it will go down as this. So we'll see if this trade expands. That'd be pretty crazy. But otherwise, for the Mavericks, we'll start on the Mavericks side as they're getting the best player in Kyrie Irving. I mean, if the Mavericks will win this trade if Kyrie plays all the games this year and doesn't cause any problems with their chemistry. Kyrie's a phenomenal player. He's an all-star level player. He's a top 3 to 5 point guard in the league who has some of the best, probably one of the best, if not the best, hands in the league. Killer crossover, killer step, just killer moves. Knows how to get to the basket. Can finish with in contention with the big boys around. You know, stellar shot. He just has the whole package. Like, I'm explaining everything, but I could just tell you, he has the full package because you already know that. The problem with him is staying on the court, playing the games, and just not screwing up this Mavericks chemistry. If they do that, they'll win this trade. Even if he doesn't sign there at the end of the year, after this year, they'll still win the trade for what they gave up. That's worth it for at least if you're getting a shot at an NBA championship like they are, if he is going to be on the court and vibe with their locker room. From the Nets' perspective, I don't mind it. Like, I understand you had to move on from him. It was tough. I didn't think they were going to trade him ultimately. I thought, but apparently he was willing to sit down and not play, which is kind of crazy to me when you're in like you can win a championship and you have a free agent, you can leave the next year. But I like Spencer Dinwiddie as a player. He's been on the Nets before. Rumors they could flip him. Hopefully they don't, unless they get somebody else I really like. But I love Spencer Dinwiddie. He's aggressive. He could score by himself. He creates his own shot. Former net. You know he can play here. Dorian Finney-Smith's just a nice piece you can add to kind of the rotation. I don't mind if he gets flipped. And then the picks are the picks. Obviously, you would have wanted more. I would have loved a bigger man, like a big man, to go with it. Maybe that's what you're looking for in the 3-team trade, some bigger dude. But I don't mind the trade just because you needed to move on. And I don't think the Nets are done here. Apparently, they're going to try to refocus and try to build around Durant and get some more pieces at the deadline. And I'm perfectly okay with that. You need a big guy. That's the biggest thing. You need a big guy to go with Claxton. Because Claxton is playing phenomenal right now, but you need somebody to go with him when he comes out of the game. Somebody who can play very good defense, doesn't need to be a big scorer, hopefully can hit the free throws down the stretch. That's what you're looking for to pair with Claxton in that 5 spot. Then maybe you go and you trade a couple players to get a better shooter. Maybe you go pick up a guy like a Fred VanVleet or something like that if you want to add to this roster. I mean, you got Nick Claxton, Seth Curry, Dinwiddie now. Are you going to trade a guy like Patty Mills? Are you going to trade a guy like Joe Harris? I prefer not Joe Harris, but Seth Curry you could trade. Another thing I want to see us do, I want to see us get Cam Thomas more time. I want to see him play more. I think you saw him drop a career high. I think it was 44 points last night. Absolute monster of a game from him. He's only 21 years old. He can be a star in this league. And I'm talking about an absolute... He can be an all-star if you push the buttons right and get him more consistent and give him more time. He can become an all-star in this league. I am quite confident in that. I just need to see him progress, and I need to see him get more time. He can become a valuable piece to this team, and I want to see him get more minutes down the stretch in this year, next year. I need to see more Cam Thomas. But so yeah, that's what you're looking for. Maybe to upgrade get another big shooter, and then a big man, and then of course get Cam Thomas more time. But otherwise, from the trade side, I give the Mavericks an A+. What they got, you can't go wrong. I mean, this trade could turn out to be an F for them just for getting Kyrie, but right now it's an A+. From the Nets' perspective, it's a B+. Like, you got good pieces. You wish you got more. You wish you probably could have got more. You wish you could have kept Kyrie, but at the end of the day, you did okay. You did okay. All right, moving on now. As we talked about last week before the end of the show, there's a couple teams I wanted to talk about this year. One of the biggest surprise teams this year has been the third-place team in the West, and that's the Sacramento Kings. Currently sitting at 29 and 23. They are 7. There's a big gap between first and the rest of the West, but they're sitting in third place in the West. This is a team who hasn't made the playoffs in a long time and really starting to turn around this year. De'Aaron Fox has been an animal this year. 24 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and the key difference with Fox this year compared to other years is his efficiency. This year, shooting 30 besides his second year, which he didn't shoot as many threes, he's shooting 33% from the three-point line, which is not bad for Fox, pretty good. And he's shooting his career high from the field, 50.6%. He's making more than half of his shots per game. His turnovers is down to almost the lowest in his career since his rookie year. He's back to 2.5 turnovers per game. And his steals, he's still above the steal per game. So, and he's averaging now the career high 4.3 rebounds. Almost every number that you want to be higher is higher. Every number you want to be lower is lower. He's having a fantastic year. De'Aaron Fox, one of my favorite players, was my favorite player in his draft class, and he's brought a new level to his game, and he's definitely underrated this year. And then the other big guy is Domantas Sabonis, who they got from the Indiana Pacers in the trade that involved Tyrese Halliburton, who's become a stud on the other side, who you knew. And, well, I don't know if they still came out winners. I think both teams came out winners of that deal, but if you had to pick one, probably still the Pacers, that you'd probably rather have you'd rather have Halliburton than Sabonis, and you probably could have got a little more. But I think they're perfectly fine the way that deal turned out. Sabonis averaging 18.5 points per game, 12.5 rebounds per game. He's been a stud. He's been a stud and really fit in well with this Sacramento team, going along with Harrison Barnes, who's been very good this year. Kevin Huerter was one of the most underrated signings. He's been huge for the team. He's averaging 15 points per game. One of the best three-point shooters in the league. One of the best, fastest releases in the league, coming over from Atlanta. He has been an absolute stud. He's shooting 39. He's shooting 40% from three. This guy, absolute animal of a player. He's just a guy that you can't. I don't know how they let him go. Really, I don't know how Atlanta let him go. He's such a difference maker on offense, just like that microwave kind of guy who can really just put the ball in the basket at such quick pace and change. He's not gonna be your all-star, but he can change the pace of a game and do it very quickly. And there's not too many guys who can do that at the level that he can. And he is probably, in the offseason, one of the most underrated moves of this offseason. Keegan Murray, their first overall pick, a top 5 pick for them, averaging 11.7 points. And this is just a team with so much depth. Even Davion Mitchell, who hasn't really been getting that much time, is on their team. Rashawn Holmes, Trey Lyles. These guys are not all getting maybe the minutes, but it shows how deep they are. Malik Monk has had a nice season, averaging 13 points and 4 assists per game. This is just a team with depth, and two guys to lead the way in Fox and Sabonis, and they got guys surrounding him, a lot of guys surrounding him, both those two players. I don't know if that involves a deep run in the playoffs, but it sure makes them a fun team to watch. And it's good to see a team like Sacramento relevant again after they've been irrelevant for so long. And another team I wanted to look at was the number 2 team in the East coming up on the Boston Celtics. They have won 7 in a row, 9-1 in their last 10 games. 9-1. Woohoo! That's the Milwaukee Bucks. And they have been great. Giannis, he's doing... Well, what do you want me to say? What do you want to say about Giannis? Giannis is doing Giannis-type things. 32.4 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, 5 assists, a little under a block per game. Dude is an absolute animal and is one of the best players in the league. There's just not much to say about Giannis. Drew Holiday's been fantastic, 19 points per game. Bobby Portis, that duo of Portis and Lopez continues to be one of the best front courts in the league, in my opinion, with that two duo. Both guys can shoot the three, both guys can rebound, and both can just be spark plugs for this team, both veteran presence. Grayson Allen is an underrated player that people love to hate, but he's a very good player. And they got, like other teams, they have depth as well. They have guys like veterans, George Hill, Joe Ingles, Pat Connaughton on this team. It goes down. Serge Ibaka, you might not be seeing a lot of him, but Serge Ibaka's on this team. That's how deep this team is. And they've been really hitting their stride, and the reason I think they've been getting so hot is a guy that we haven't talked about, and that's Chris Middleton. And if you looked at Chris Middleton's numbers, they're not great so far this year. 12.9 points per game, almost 3.5 rebounds and 4 assists per game. But that's because he's only played 14 games this year, and he only came back at the beginning of December, and took him a while, I think, to get back into his groove. But the last couple games, he's really started to find his groove again. The last 5 games, he's led for the oldest one against the Pacers, 17, 9, 18, 16, and 24. So he's starting to bump up. He's starting to get back and finding his shot, being able to put the ball in the bucket, and just kind of getting back into the rhythm of being out there every single day. Just being out there on that grind of just going to work and doing your job every single day. And that's just going to come. It takes time sometimes with guys with injuries. Certain guys, they can come back and they just get right back into it. Other guys, they might need a couple weeks or a month to really get back into the life of just playing on that grind every single day, keeping your body the way it's supposed to feel every single day, just not like relying on or leaning on one of the parts of your body because the other one hurts, getting back to 100% healthy. And I think that's what you saw with Milton. I think he's going to continue to get better. His numbers are going to continue to get better. And watch out. I do think Milwaukee ends up stealing Boston's number 1 seed, as they are hot as hot can be. And with Middleton just coming back and starting to play like Chris Middleton can, it's going to be a tough. It's going to be tough for anybody to really do damage against that team, because I really don't see anybody taking them over, really hurting them the way or improving the way that they did by getting Middleton back and him playing that well. But the last team we're going to look at here, that would be the Indiana Pacers. And Pacers, they started off the season very well. They had Tyrese Halliburton from the trade last year. He's blossomed into an all-star this year. He's been absolutely fantastic for this team. Miles Turner, they just got him re-signed. Buddy's Hield has had a very good year. Benedict Mathurin has been awesome for them. That has been a very underrated draft pick for them coming out of Arizona. He is one of the best players out of this rookie draft, and I know he went very high. He went at 6 overall, but he was viewed a little high for him, and he wasn't viewed as the elite as the other guys like a Banchero or the other guys up there. And he's been he's proven that he is. He is going to be one of the best players from this class. 17 points per game for Matherin. He's just an animal on both. He can get to his spots. He's very physical on offense and defense, and he's just a gritty player who can score the ball. And that's an awesome thing to see, especially so young, to see a guy so gritty and so hungry. It's gonna prove to be a huge factor as his career progresses and he gets older, because that dog in him is not gonna go away soon, and it's just gonna, as his game continues to improve and he gets more finesse, he's still gonna have the physicality and that mentality, and with both of those combined, it's going to be something to fear. So, but while he's been playing great, this team has really taken a dive. They're 2-8 in their last 10. They are currently 11th. They've dropped all the way to 11 in the East. They are now 25-30, under 500. And while I would love to see, if I'm a Pacers fan, I'd love to see them in the play-in. You don't necessarily need to make the playoffs for this season to be a success. I'll say that, because your two most important players, in my opinion, are Halliburton and Matherin. Turner's big, but I think this is a team that you can build with, and it's going to get better over time. I think if you want to go and trade out and go get a big piece, I don't think that's ridiculous going to trade like a Duarte or something like that, because he's not getting the minutes he probably could somewhere else. But this is a team that maybe is a piece away or 2 pieces away, and a couple years away. I think you need another year or 2 to let this team develop and gain some more chemistry before they become a real danger in the East. But if they finished 11th and you still had Halliburton and Turner and Hield and Matherin playing the way that they are, I still think you'd consider this season a success if you're a Pacers fan. And then I think the clock then starts next year where it's like, all right, now it's playoffs or bust. And the expectations will continue to rise. So, because I don't think going into this year you were expecting playoffs from the Pacers. So I think it's unfair. I mean, it might be a little disappointing to see the way they've played recently, but teams are going to go through their ups and downs. This is a young team. You want to see them bounce back, and hopefully, if they make the play-ins, it's just a huge success if they make the play-in this year, if you're the Pacers. A huge success, and that should be the goal for them. Make the play-in. If you can't make it to the final 8, I guess, I don't know what you call it, like the official playoffs, or once the play-in's done, the final. I think the final 8's a good term, but if you don't make the final 8 for your conference, I don't think that's a big deal for the Pacers. But their goal should be to make the play-in, if not, at least be competitive till the end, and that'd be a successful season for them. All right. When we come back from this final break, we'll talk about what I thought about the NHL and the All-Star Game and the skills competition right here on 99.1 FM. WIUX. Alright, welcome back to the Scharf Show here on 99.1 FM WIUX. The NHL, it had its All-Star Game and skills competition this past week, and there's been a lot of criticism going around about this past weekend, and I before the show ended, I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on that. We'll start off with the All-Star Game. Ultimately, I didn't really have too much of a problem with the All-Star Game. I tried to catch as much of it as I could before I had my own game. But ultimately, I didn't think it was too bad. Again, I do like the 3-on-3 concept that they're running right now. The only thing I wish it wasn't by division. I wish you could kind of split them up and do like a draft or something like that. So you could just see different players playing with different guys. And it doesn't need to be division by division. You can maybe do by conference or something and mix them up or something like that. But, yeah, I do like the 3v3. It allows players to be more creative. You're seeing cool moves and stuff like that from each player, even the defensemen getting up in the play and stuff like that. It's great to see 3-on-3 like in overtime, and it's cool to see it in the All-Star Game. Skills competition where it's kind of had a problem. This was probably... I think the skills competition is great, usually. This was probably not in the past 5 to 7 years, this was probably one of the worst ones. It just didn't, there was no flow to it. I liked some of the dunking event was kind of cool, I thought, but there was too many events where it wasn't in the in the actual rink, which was kind of going back and forth, which kind of, so maybe you have 1 or 2 of those max, but ultimately, it was kind of weird the way they did it. They did the speed skating, and then they didn't do the finals then. And then they did one of the the shootouts and then like they didn't go back to it for a while, and then they did. So the way they ordered it just made no sense to me. Ultimately, some of the events are fine. Like the speed skating is a big one. The hardest shot, the accuracy shooting. The shootout's always fun. I thought whatchamacallit, Mitch Marner's was terrible. I thought the past one was kind of cool. Ovechkin was kind of cool, having his kit go. But just do it in order. Like, just if the speed skating is going, just and then do the final. I don't want to have to like, all right, now what we're doing, or when are we coming back to the final, and just do it all together. Do each race or each contest by itself. You don't need to just do like the semifinals and then the finals later, or just do the speed skating, then the accuracy, then the shootout, or if you want to say the shootout for last, you can do that, or the hardest. Just do them all do each of the times at the same, each part of the game or each part of the contest at the same time. You don't need to space it out, and then only do like one or maybe two outside contests, because you don't want to take away from the actual ice and the actual experience. I feel like that kind of takes away from it a bit, but ultimately I think it's not that big a deal. I think they'll probably, I mean, it's pretty easy fixing. It's not like the Pro Bowl or something like that, or the NBA All-Star Game, which was harder to fix. These are easy fixes, and minor tweaks, and the skills competition will be right back to where it usually is, being one of the coolest All-Star events in sports. But that'll do it for this week's edition of the Scharf Show. It's been a great week. It's been an awesome week of sports. We got a big week next week. Hopefully everybody's Super Bowl bets and dreams hit, except if you're a Philly or an Eagles fan. Hopefully they don't. But yeah, looking forward to this great week of sports. You got football, you got basketball, college and NBA, back on the hockey train. It's going to be a great week. Looking forward to it. This has been Josh Scharf from the Scharf Show on 99.1 FM WIUX. I will see you on the other side.